There's one critical step to being a father. It's having a child. And that moment that child comes into your world, you are literally changed. You are a father. And the responsibilities and the being providing for them to keep little humans alive, it's there. And you see the world through different lenses, and it's actually like, amazing and empowering. I've had that privilege to do it 4 times. I have Levi, who's 16, Everett 15, Maxwell 13, and Emmeline is 11. Three boys and a girl. And I've been blessed with that. And my wife, Amber, who's my childhood sweetheart, we've been married for 20 years now. And I'm so grateful. And I want to say that I am a human. So I try to do my best in all things in life, but I also falter and stumble as well, just like any other person. So I'm going to humbly throw that out there in the beginning of this conversation and want to welcome you to this podcast, Driven for Health. This is episode 144. I'm Coach Brian Pirano. Now, today's conversation is going to be different. It's going to be a bit about my story, who I am, what I do, what this podcast is about, what and how I serve the world. And that's really important. And even more important, I want to share about the true impact and the legacy that I want to have for those to come in my world, my orbit, and just in general, the world itself. We're not talking about nutrition, fitness, lifestyle tips, tricks today. We're going to just talk about Brian, authentic Brian, not even Coach Brian. Why this is important at 144 episodes in? Well, why did I even decide to do this podcast this morning? And it's just about the conversations that I've been having. Even today, I have 4 guest appearances on podcasts that I am, and I get to express myself and I challenge myself to express my capacity, abilities, my experience in different ways on every single show. So it's not the same redundant show or the same tips or tricks or whatever that you just end up hearing. I've had over 200 guest appearances on podcasts, so I've had a lot of practice to share. And but today it just really struck me in the conversations I was having of why all of this really matters. I really identify as being a provider, as being a father, being a husband, being someone who takes care of the people closest to me to the best of my ability. And I want to facilitate that and positive change and growth in the men that I work with as well in the call to rise and beyond. Just literally just having real conversations with men every day allows me to do this. Even episode 142 was with Mr. U, and we talked about men's mental health. We talked about shedding the narrative, all sorts of different things that come up with men even living in anxiety and depression. And if that is your reality, you can't be the best version of yourself. And ultimately, that's what we want. Health is one of the very first components to that piece. So, taking care of yourself and all the tools and everything that I try and provide in our podcast here is meant for you to be able to find real answers and truth around this thing. So the undertone of how to keep men showing up in my world there, this is something that I see every single day. The stories that are getting shared, they're successful. They have all the money they need. They have all their wants and desires fulfilled upon, but they're still not happy. They still are in a place where they are not healthy. They're overweight or they have bad blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, some other forms of chronic illness that are really actually slowing them down and taking up a lot of space in their head and their brain and how they act and take action on in everyday life. That's not what we want. We need to have powerful men showing up as their real authentic self. Episode 135 with Nikki Ballou talked about that quite a bit as men showing up in our modern day world and not just falling susceptible to the challenges, the just the marketing, the advertising, the attention that the world is calling and distracting you from what is really truly important. And I think that if your expanded waistline and your neck are your bigger clothes, how you show up to the people closest to you. If that isn't in alignment with who you are, you aren't showing your real self. You're not giving value. We've seen it and heard it so many times that the world needs you. We need you to be yourself. We need you to show up with attitude, energy, experience, and drive to create more value for everyone here. All us, what, 8 or 9 billion little ants roaming around on this planet here. We need the best version so that we can actually thrive as a community of human beings and not just live in isolation of what can I do for me today and how can I take from others. But I think it is the golden rule: do unto others as others you'd want others to do on you, and give to be able to get. Like, that's intentional. Like, even if you want to get something, be selfish in that situation. You still would want to then serve someone to help them, in a sense of just like what I do. I need money just like anyone to pay bills and feed my four really growing kids right now. The grocery bills are a bit outrageous, but to be able to receive money, I have to give of myself, my energy, my talents, my wisdom, my experience, and that's what I'm doing. That ultimately we want to live a powerful legacy of a person that you want to show up in this world. And that's it. So, some of my story, especially around fatherhood, that's what I really wanted to focus on today, and help give you a lens or a look behind the curtain of some of my life and the challenges that I've had that have led me to this point at age 43 with four kids and my business and everything. Some of my story, well, my parents got divorced when I was about 12, 13 years old. I ended up seeing my dad for every 2 weeks after that. Now, I always remember my family and my father being involved and engaged, and I always looked up to him. He was the strong hero type, right? It's just like always knew anything, was super strong and there and all this stuff. Of course, right? I hope that you have that idea or image of your father as well. Now, through the divorce, parents did whatever. I don't know what this actual story is to this day. It's not relevant what the story is, but the impact that it has had in my life is very relevant. I've seen my dad every 2 weeks from basically middle school on, and that lack of fatherly wisdom and fatherly connection has definitely impacted who I am and what I do. And in the beginning, there's a lot more of the presence and connection. But as my father had gone through different marriages, through different situations in his life, the connection and proximity to him was less. And as I was growing from high school to college and then getting into real life, I'm growing a family. I'm growing a business. I started my first business in 2010, and even before that, it was taking the shape of the personal training and all the things that allowed me to just elevate up to being in a professional career, to learn how to engage with people and sell myself and provide value in the marketplace. And so going through that timeline, I got less. Sure, he showed up, he helped me, he gave wisdom and all that stuff in my younger years. But when I got to about 22-ish, 23, that connection and proximity, especially with the increased work responsibility I have, is definitely a huge gap in me feeling his presence. And that is something that I have an understanding of more now as I'm older and I'm going through basically the same time frame that I had lived with seeing my kids with a parent, and understanding and trying to fathom what their life would be if I only saw them every other weekend, as an example. That would make me sad. That would make me bored. I would be uninterested. I would be seeking out attention from them, but I wouldn't really be able to get it because of proximity or child custody rules or any of that stuff. And I just can't. One, I can't imagine how that felt on my father. I actually haven't had a conversation about it. I haven't even talking to him really since I was 27. I went to a Tony Robbins event and I felt empowered to give him a call after that event. Obviously, if you've ever been to a Tony Robbins event, it is there's a lot of energy, drive, and a lot of self contemplation that you do in that situation to then allow someone to have an impact. That's what Tony does. He creates massive impact to create massive action and shifts in your life. Now, with that, what we have coming out of that is I had a conversation. It was maybe 5 7 minutes long. It felt like top conversation, like, "How's the weather today? What have you been up to?" It really had no depth, and it really didn't end up addressing why or how I felt about calling him in the first place because it was literally kind of out of blue. I've seen my father once since then at my brother's wedding, but he lives in another state and I just don't have any connection with him. And reports from him is he's just not in great health. Now, maybe you'd be listening and it's like, Brian, why don't you reach out to him and connect with them? And I don't know. I have gone back and forth on that a lot throughout my years. But right now in my world, I have to focus on my children. I am the father to my kids and I have to be there for them. And that's the most important thing that I see as Brian is being there for my kids. And he's the parent in this situation that he should have an active relationship with me. When my kids leave my house, it's my responsibility to continue to create connection. Yes, they should be able to respond back in a reasonable time frame and not just ignore papa's text messages or something. I hope that's not it, or not answer calls when I call them. But because of my lived experience, I am definitely in my brain, I have to be very engaged with connecting to my kids as they foster their own personal lives, their professional careers, their families, and I have to be engaged and know and understand and be participate with them on those levels. And this is something that I want to bestow, and this has been a revelation that has happened over the last couple of years of I have the power to restore some sense of fatherly wisdom in my family. I can be the father that shows up for my kids. I show up like crazy. I'm at every event. I drop my kids off. I pick them up from school every single day. Like even tonight, there's a race under the lights at for my second son. We're going to be there. The race starts at 10 p.m. because it's summer and the lights don't turn on till like 9:30, 10 because it's not dark yet. So I'll be at the track with Everett and the rest of the family. We will be watching and cheering him on. That is super important. And this level of provider has come from my experience growing up. So we just got back from an Alaska trip. We were in Machu Picchu in Peru in spring break. We hope to go to Ireland in the fall time, maybe even Japan. Like if you've heard my story before, we traveled all 50 states, multiple countries and continents, and providing opportunities for my kids to thrive in this world is a huge thing that Amber and I have decided to focus our time and attention on. Travel, life experiences, adventures, quality education, quality experiences of what they are able to participate in with sports, camps, a variety of different other things. Kids had a 2 week theater camp that three of them went to, and that was just amazing to watch them just thrive on stage in front of a live audience to perform and just be their best selves and not have confidence issues, not have just fear of being in front of people because that's what they do at their middle school. And it's awesome to be able to see them come out of their shells because for example, like my third Maxwell, I think and believe based on his past experience that if he his past lived experience, he was a lot more anxious and had some anxiety. Whereas now, a couple years into being in that environment, he is thriving. He has been in multiple theater shows on stage, singing, dancing, and doing all those activities, and that's part of fostering those opportunities for the kids. And so those are some of the early on moments of being a father that you need to do. And whatever your relationship is with your father, I hope that it's better than mine. I hope that you see opportunity, and maybe there's an opportunity to rekindle my relationship. But the main focus that I have right now is being the best father and parent for my kids so that they can also be the best version in themselves for their kids, and we can keep this generational manliness, manhood, fatherhood intact. So early on, just we as a father, living my life experience, that was one of the big shifts of, oh shoot, my dad taught me a couple things: how to treat kids, how to treat your spouse, how to engage with them on a day-to-day basis. And I hope that I live that every single day. I try my best. Again, I'm a human, so I my battery wears out. I can get short and not necessarily think before I speak or all that stuff, right? That's human behavior, and it does come at a cost of just being a human. But always being able to step back up to the plate and ask for forgiveness, apologize for actions and behaviors and different things. Those are important. So I just again want to share that. An example of that is I'll be in full go coach mode, and I'll come in with lots of energy, and I'll walk into the house and people are doing this, that, and the other, and the dishes haven't been done. And I'm like, why are the dishes not done? And that's just not the right approach. Amber will let me know that, and so will the kids. They just won't do anything. You probably felt this being a father. If you try and tell people what to do, then they usually don't listen to you. So we have to find another way about it. Now, my decision to be a present father and be active was from my childhood, and I will continue to do that. And I hope that you do too in these times. Being able to see your child, your son, your daughter be excited, laugh, cry, experience challenge, experience success, and be able to foster this wide range of human emotion, I think is so, so, so important for you to be able to do. Then this will then create connections for you. Just the other day on my Instagram and social stories, I posted, "Hey, Emmeline, remember the time we rode camels outside the Giza pyramid?" We did that. We created a connection that I can draw on in the future to be able to stay connected to my daughter. And that's important. Activity. I'm sad to say my calf hurts right now. I've been training for a marathon because Levi challenged me to. He's my oldest. He ran the Akron Marathon in 3:32 last year, and I was just blown away. And he said, "You should do it with me this year." And I was like, and then I finally decided in January. And if you train, you know that movement comes, there's a cost, pay to play. I'm dealing with some injuries here and there. I'm working around them. I'm rolling out, stretching out, feels like more than ever, but the calf's a little sore right now. And right now, literally, he's out running a half marathon distance so that he can be prepared for the race. And I would have loved to have stopped what I was doing and join him. But I did stop 2 days ago. He wanted to work out. I looked at my calendar, said, I'm open for the next 2 hours. I'm going to join you. So then we came out to the barn and we worked out. If you see this on Spotify, you can see the video. I've always been in the barn. This is my, say, office. In a sense, it's my man space. It's my workout place. When we have a TV in here, we watch music videos, or we've been actually watching videos, movies. We've watched all of Rocky series and the Creed series. We're working through episode 3 of Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. We did the first 3 in the series. We're in the original 3, and then we're going to go into the last. It's episodes 6, 7, and or 7, 8, 9 in the series, and it's just something that we can spend time together. With my daughter, I read to her every night, and that is super important to me to be able to have those times of connection. And then with Maxwell, we play video games. Sometimes we are always joking and just poking and prodding each other and stuff. And Everett, I've ran with him a bunch this summer because he's a cross country runner. I've watched him and helped facilitate his art and performance and stuff. And so these are really important parts. Now, what does this have to do with this podcast? With everything, is that taking care of yourself is radically important in this so that you're able to give energy to those that need it. If you are a pitcher that is not doesn't have any water and you have all these water cups asking for water, you cannot give water. You can't give energy. So you need a tap to be able to fill up. And taking care of yourself through exercise, better food choices, managing stress and time in your day is vitally important so that when you get home from your job, your career, your profession, your business, you can be there for your family and turn on another gear that they need you to show up. They need you to be a leader, to show and lead through how to look good, feel good, and just be yourself because that's who you are in their life. Is you're their father, and they need this guidance, this wisdom, this connection for them to have better relationships in the future, and that's so important. And so those are things to think about, is like how you do one thing is you do everything. It's a big, and do it right the first, do it right once. That's another common thing. And another parenting strategy, you can steal this one, but it's you choose your actions, not your consequences. Right? Is that if you are choosing to do this, then the reactions to it could be positive, indifferent, or negative based on choice. Like, say, speeding, you could get away from it, or you could get a hefty fine that costs a lot of time, energy, and money. And these are some things that I want to share to my kids. And having my best energy and best foot forward with those intentions allows me to do that. And I want my kids to have that healthy. My dad was healthy, fit. He took care of himself, and by thought, he took care of me. Now, the my legacy and the vision for myself is I want to be a grandfather that participates, that shows up, that has energy, resources to be able to provide for them. A simple idea in my mind is I want to have a a giant room full of my whole family and eating at the same dinner table, to be able to just feel accomplished that I was able to help perpetuate this, especially with my wife. She does a crux of the work. If you're in a loving relationship, you understand the gives and the takes, and all that stuff. That's it's super important in raising children to be their best selves. But long term, it's like, hey, I'm paying for this. I'm fostering and creating this experience that they can come into my world or this table to share and experience really cool things, because that's what life is about, is creating an opportunity, creating your purpose, and fulfilling on that in those areas that are important to you and important to those around you. Now, the undertone of this as we start to wrap here is that's some of the big reasons why the call to rise exists in the first place. Men are showing up in certain areas, but because they aren't taking care of their health, that's costing them. So, areas like, I have plenty of money, or I have good relationships. If you do, great. That's wonderful. That's super helpful. But if you listen to episode 133 with Jeremy Bacon, we talked about four buckets. We have family, we had civics, we had work, and we had self. And if you're not paying attention to yourself and your health, then you all those other the areas will suffer, and you will feel consequences. And that's what I have built the call to rise to do. Is it's more than meal plan, more than macros, more than even weight loss. It's about becoming the leader that you need to be in your life so that you can show up. And the five pillars are the call, your identity, who you are as a person, as a man, and how you see yourself in the mirror every beginning of the day, and the confidence you have in yourself translates into all the amazing opportunities that you can do. The fuel, the fuel is nutrition, eating the right foods at the right times and the right amount. So you have energy, and then you're eating an appropriate amount to fuel the body, the look, the feel that you want. The forge, the exercise piece, so that you are strong, physically capable of what it is that you want to accomplish. We've got the code, the mindset, the perception, the way that you think has to be different. If you are thinking from the current state of where you are at versus where you would be if you are in that empowered body with the energy, the look, the feel that you want, it's a dramatic difference. It's light years apart from one another. And that is a huge missed opportunity if you're not in full alignment. And then the brotherhood, which is a group of men that are centered around being driven, performing, taking care of the things that need, but also finally figuring out what the health aspect is. I know what to do, but I'm not doing it well. I This is an implementation program. We act, we do, we make things happen and create change. And all throughout the episodes of even the most recent one that got published today as I speak was Jamie. He lost 38 pounds in 100 days, but he is a better role model for his 13-year-old son. We've got Chris at episode 117. He travels for a living, but he still was able to lose over 20 pounds in 100 days and some now after he's in the Vanguard, which is a continuation program of it. And he's there able to show up for his kids. Mike, after he got done with 100 days, he walked his daughter down the aisle to get married. 17 pounds down, 12% body fat less. This guy looked sharp in the suit. He didn't just have this round belly thing and poking out. He looked sharp, fit, and strong because he was basically at his goal body weight by the time we were done. Andy lost 38 pounds at episode 53. He shows up for his teenage kids that are 11 and 13 to go work out with them and facilitate being an active lifestyle. And that's what your kids need. They need you to be there, to play, to engage with them. So sharing that is, if any of this resonates, you share this with someone that they need to hear about stepping up as being a leader, a man in their world. I would implore you to do that. And if I could leave you with any wisdom or advice on this is you just have to keep showing up. You just have to keep doing your best. You're going to fail. It's part of life. But if you learn from that and you evolve and you get better and better, then the fruits of thy labor will show off in terms of the quality of your relationships and the impact of you as a person in the sphere of influence that you have. I hope that this was helpful. And I want to end on that is that that's what I am here to do. And I will be continuing to drive forward. And it's like even what the podcast name Driven for Health. I'm driven, drive, go, 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 motivate, discipline, like all these things, but a driven, active participant in your life and a healthy life that is. And if any of this resonates or anything that has resonated in the past and you want to be the leader that you need to be, then check out thecalltorise.com for the 100-day program. And let's step up the level of your game with your health, your body, your nutrition, fitness, and lifestyle. I appreciate you for listening in, and I hope that you enjoyed this stuff. I have get questions, I get emails, I'm getting reviews and different things, and I engage with all that. So I really appreciate my audience listening in, and I'd love to get to know you more. So reach out, share, connect, and I hope today's story about my connection with my father was impactful for you. Thank you. Off to the next one. And I think I preemptively said in the last one that I was going to get to the what to order series. It is coming, I promise. I think I wanted to start it on a whole number because in the future, when I reference it back, like, oh, it's on episode 145 or episode 150, it's like a whole number, not just a random number. So I've been filling in all these other ones with different things of stories or connections or relationships I'm connecting with other guys and stuff. So you're hearing that, but that is coming. What to order at this restaurant series is coming, and there's going to be a lot of them. They're going to be like, hopefully 15 or 20 minutes, as you know, I like to talk. So off we go, over and out. I appreciate you.